Hello and welcome to Vibration Shift. So we're going to talk a little bit about self-care because you're doing a bunch of these clearings, running a bunch of warp gates, and got to understand that it's not that moment that you're running it. Like, so you're staying the warp gate, you're kicking it off, all the energetic change, safe to be safe, you're kicking it off. That's actually going to go with your unconscious mind to go to the warp gate and come back with a whole list of things for your unconscious to start doing energy work, which can go, if you've watched that video, it takes about 30 minutes just to explain overview of what happens. So your unconscious, one, it's gonna like parallel process a lot of information. So it's gonna be running a bunch of clearings at the same time and really fast. So your unconscious is gonna be doing a lot of work. So we wanna take care of some self-care. So we want, first of all, is to be gentle on yourself. Your job is really just to start noticing the change, and we gave you a video that's going to kind of explain what to start noticing and what to pay attention to. But really with self-care is first give yourself some kudos because you're doing really powerful energy work. Like, it's going to be at a deep, profound level. It's like you're changing the soil from where you grow as opposed to like kind of pulling weeds. Like, you're really changing the soil. It's massive, it's deep. So give yourself some credit for that. But also give yourself some grace and some ease because it's gonna be very intense. Some things that might come up, you might get cravings. So probably doing a fast at this point in time is not the best idea. Maybe like an intermittent fasting, but once you're kicking it on the clearings, it's probably good to have some food in your belly. You're probably gonna want some type of comfort food. So if you're able to have sugars, you might have the craving for sugars, and I would allow yourself to have it if you're allowed to. I mean, obviously if you're diabetic or some reason you couldn't eat sugar, I wouldn't do it. It's not like all of a sudden you get a magic pass. But we'll notice, like I had a story where I'm not sure these things called nutty bars. It's not a health food. It's not a health food. It's a super treat. And I think like just 2 of the bars is like 3,000 calories because I got peanut butter in it, like pretty much peanut butter and sugar, right? And I would eat like 1 bar, possibly 2 bars, like when I was younger, and I'd get sick. I'd just get sick to my stomach, totally sick to my stomach. But I had one where I was doing a lot of clearings because I like to go crazy hardcore. So we're not gonna follow what I do. Do what I say, do self-care, because I will go crazy. But anyway, in that process, like my body was like, I want nutty bars, right? And once you've started practicing this a lot and you start listening to your body, that body knows more like what it needs in that moment. And I went through a really weird digestion stuff, healed myself of ulcerative colitis, all that stuff. And part of that was like a really weird food plan where my body would say, I want this, I want that, all types of weird food, wouldn't make sense, but I was miraculously healing. So I didn't judge it. I was like, okay, my body wants it, cool. And it was really pushing of like, I want these nutty bars. And I'm like, really? Nutty bars? Okay. So thinking like, okay, I'll have one. Like maybe it just needs a little extra sugar, I'll have one. Well, I ate 1 bar, and I was like, that was really good. Let me eat 2 bars. I ate the whole box. Long story short, I ate the whole box. 1,800 calories at night, those nutty bars. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna feel terrible the next morning. What did I do? It's like, I just wanted them so bad. They're so tasty. Next morning, I felt fantastic. Out of this world, awesome, amazing. And it's not because, hey, I know nutty bars are good for you and that's what's gonna normally happen, but for whatever reason, my body in that moment needed that. So if you're feeling that craving of like, yeah, I want this sweet thing, yeah, I want this soda. You maybe I'll never drink soda, but you might want the soda. You might want the sweet thing. You might want a salty thing. Once again, if it's not on your food plan, like medically, don't put it on your food plan. But if it's something you can't eat, but you're like, oh, I'm watching my weight or this, I would give yourself a pass. Obviously, you'll know when you do it because you'll feel better. You'll feel like, oh, I'm recovering, I'm feeling better. But watch the trap. Don't think like, oh, cool, I get these sweets continuously, because I tried it again with the nutty bars. Like a couple days later, I'm like, it's like, whoa, can I eat a whole box again? Because they tasted good. But my body definitely was like, oh, no. You don't need to eat another box, right? But I was like, well, I'm just doing a little research. I'm just gonna test it. I'm gonna test this out, right? I'm gonna do a little test. I think I ate about like 2 of the little bars. Oh, my stomach hurt. I didn't feel good, but my body said I didn't want it, right? But not 3 days before, I ate, I don't know how many, it was like 6, so 12 bars or something like that, 1,800 calories, and I was fine. But that's because the body wanted it and requested it versus, you know, your sugar. I want the sugar, I'm addicted to it. That request. Those requests don't go well, but body requests do. But notice you might have an increased desire for sugar, possibly salt. Some people might have salt, but notice that is something that can happen where the body says for whatever reason it needs it because you're doing a lot of processing in your brain. Your brain does require sugars. Doesn't mean you have to go have candy bars. You could have more fruits. Depends. The body's going to kind of give you a vibe of like, hey, I'd like to do this. I would try it, see what the feedback is, because obviously you feel crappy, then okay, maybe you didn't quite get that dialed in quite right as to what the body was requesting. That's fine. So that's one thing. You might have cravings for sugars, and just honor that if you're able to, and it's not going to put a health challenge. Notice that might come up. Also sleep. I mean, you're really going hardcore. You know, you might want to sleep a bit more. That's not you being lazy. That's your body doing a serious amount of energy work, and it just needs to recover, needs to regroup. So that's another possibility, is you might have desire more for sleep. And then also, you're going to be letting go of a lot of stuff. So you want to give yourself grace with the emotions that are coming up. Like, we're not going to hold on to them and we're just going to let them go. But notice that you might have a large variety of emotions, and you want to give yourself grace that you're going to have those. And you know, you're not going to get attached to them, but you're not going to get all wound up and be like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And, you know, kind of add to it. Just let those go. Just know you're doing deep energy work, and you're kind of restructuring your core. So there's going to be, you know, your body's going to be adjusting to that. You're going to be adjusting to that. So give yourself some grace with that. You don't need to be like, oh, I need to be on point for this. I need to do this. I need to do my mega fast. I need to do my super workouts. It's like, no, you're doing a lot right now. So some of those things you might want to back off, pull back a little bit on those, knowing that you're doing some super powerful work. So that's just some self-care to do, is to give yourself a little grace. And this isn't the time to go hardcore on some other stuff, because you are going hardcore, just like working out. Like, you might start a new workout routine, right? And you're going super hardcore on the workout routine. You wouldn't start 3 or 4 other workout routines and go hardcore on those, because it wouldn't make any sense, because that'd just be overtraining. So it's kind of like the same thing. You're really going after it, super hardcore. So give yourself some grace on that. It's going to be emotional, it's going to be physical, it's going to be spiritual. You're going after it on all cylinders, which is fantastic. It's awesome. But just know those things, like let yourself get some extra sleep. If you want some more treats, give yourself some more treats if you can. Like, you know, it's not going to cause you a medical condition. Allow yourself maybe have some of those comfort foods, knowing that you're kind of really going after it. And this isn't to go off the deep end and get into an addiction and feel crummy and all that. No, because if you're feeling crummy, your body didn't request it. If you eat it and you start feeling better, you feel like kind of, you got a little more oomph in your step, then oh yeah, your body probably did request it. So it's another good little feedback. Kind of, you're building that communication, and that's also going to tap you into your future gifts that are coming, because you want to start building that communication, starting to be able to trust what your body's requesting versus kind of something that's being told to you, or something that was pre-programmed that's not in the moment, it's not helping you, but you're clearing all that out because you're doing the warp gates, which is fantastic. And then also, I think I mentioned it, but like sleep, like let yourself sleep. It's good. Have the dreams, have yourself some peace, you know, sip some tea, read a book, relax a little bit, because you are going super hardcore. So hopefully some of those self-care things help. Also, I mean, if you get a vibe that like you really need to like do a hard workout or something like that, I mean, trust yourself. And if you do that hard workout and it feels better, that might be just a way in which your body needs to get something out. Or you might need to do an ecstatic dance or something like that. So trust yourself. It's not just all like, oh, pull back and be ease. Your body might be like, hey, I need to run. I need to do this. I need to do that. So notice that you might get those too. I was just giving you more of the common ones of like, I want sugar. I want to sleep. I need to take a little bit of ease because I'm packing too much on, because you are doing a lot. But sometimes, you know, it might be like, oh, I just need a really strong workout. But notice, it won't necessarily do that every day. Of like, if you really worked out really hard every day, it might want you to back off too. So you got to pay attention. It might say, I want you to work out really hard to clear whatever it's working on, but doesn't mean the next day it wants you to work out hard too, unless it says that. So just a couple things to play with. Take it easy on yourself. Trust yourself. You're doing amazing work. Until we talk again, have a blessed day or a blessed night.